RNC with our political panel, former Republican Governor Scott Walker and an RNC delegate, and former Democratic candidate for governor Malin Mitchell, president of the Professional Firefighters of Wisconsin and a DNC at-large member. Governor Walker and Malin, I want you to hear two different clips about what's happening in Kenosha from the Vice President, Mike Pence, and former Vice President Joe Biden. Let's listen in.
So let me be clear. The violence must stop, whether in Minneapolis, Portland, or Kenosha.
So let's unite and heal, do justice, end the violence, and end systemic racism in this country now.
So, Governor, let me begin with you. The Vice President only mentioned the violence but said nothing about the shooting in Kenosha. Was that a mistake, and does the President need to address that tonight?
Well, I think the reason he did is, unlike the George Floyd situation, where it was clear, and the President, the Vice President, people across the political spectrum spoke out against that. This tape certainly was disturbing, but here in Wisconsin, we have an independent investigation pending. There's already been new information. The Attorney General, a Democrat, pointed out even yesterday. And clearly, we don't want police brutality in America. The President, Vice President talked about that before, but they also made it clear that we cannot have the kind of violence we've seen. And Joe Biden's statements was much like Governor Evers was the beginning of all this, where they were silent about the violence. It was only after 3 nights of violent protests, riots, and mayhem on the streets of Kenosha, and 2 deaths, sadly, that we finally yesterday heard from the Vice President anything about the violence. And even the Kenosha News today criticized Governor Evers' comments as actually fueling the flames. This is a paper that historically has voted or endorsed Democrats. So this is something we're hearing from people in Kenosha. They're frustrated with the lack of leadership from many of our Democrats here in the state and from the Democrat nominee, who took days before he criticized the violence that we've seen so rapidly in Kenosha.
Malin, I'll let you respond to that, but also we did see violent protests and calls for change during police shootings when President Obama was leading the country. Why should anyone think things will change now based on what the former VP is saying?
Well, change is going to take time. There's no doubt. And it's not going to be, quite frankly, elected officials that are going to make that change. But you look at the RNC and you talk about fueling the flames. The Trump convention is exactly what I expected, and that's full of fear-mongering and gaslighting. It gave prime time slots to folks who pointed guns at protesters, an attorney general who hasn't brought any charges in the Breonna Taylor killing, and all sorts of speakers that were not above board, quite frankly, in my opinion. You know, they talk about God and country. Well, Democrats fought for this country as well. We go to church, we stand for the flag, we value the Constitution. Democrats live in urban cities, urban areas, as well as rural America. This is the United States of America. But Donald Trump's America is, he just talks to his base. And the RNC has been literally just talking to their base. You listen to what Joe Biden has said, and that is that he's going to be a president for all Americans. But under the Donald Trump Republican Party right now, we're not seeing the party of Lincoln or the party of Reagan, which they always tout. And those are two statesmen.
Well,
we need to get back to having a leader that's going to bring people together and not fuel the flames of what we're seeing right now in Kenosha.
And we'll have to see what President Trump says tonight in prime time, and then we'll hear your response as well. Thank you both for being here today.